Hiya, I'm Andy from Open Road Scotland. I'm going to do a demo just now on our Lowlander Deluxe luxury 4-berth motorhome, and this will help you when you're on your travels and before your rental, so you can familiarise yourself with the vehicle. So we'll start here on the driver's side. It's on a Fiat Ducato. It's a 7.3 metre long van, and walking along I'll point out the features on the driver's side for you. So just behind the driver's door here we have your freshwater fill-up point. In here we've just got a twist off cap, and hose pipe goes in there. The hose pipe supplied by Open Road Scotland with your van, and you just fill that tank up until that overflows, okay, and that's fresh water which goes in there. That's the fresh water which you'll use in your van for cooking, for tea, for coffee, for showering, for your toilet. As far as drinking water goes, you're probably better to buy bottled water. It is potable, but it does sit in a tank, so for drinking water I would probably buy bottled water in general. Just underneath the freshwater fill-up point here we've got quite a handy little exterior locker. Very good for any little items you might have that you want to store in there, so mucky boots or walking poles or balls or fishing rods. Maybe not so much fishing rods, but smaller items in there, no problem. And so for locking these up, you're going to turn the handle 180 degrees, turn the barrel 180 degrees, and then push in until it's flush with the plastic cover. Okay, another feature here on the driver's side, just under the storage locker here, is your grey waste drain. So your grey waste is water from your sink and your shower, and that needs to be regularly emptied. It's a very simple process. You'll see there's a lever here just located underneath the storage locker. I'm just going to pull that out, and you'll see your water flowing out there. Now, there's no sewage or effluent in that water. That can just go down a standard drain. And if you're at a campsite, they've also got a dedicated area for you to dump that out. Next to that exterior locker we've got your LPG locker, which contains your gas bottle. Your gas bottle comes with the van, again is supplied with as part of your rental cost. It's a 13 kilo Calor gas propane bottle, and you'll use gas for cooking in the van, for your hob, for your oven and grill, and you can also use gas for your hot water and your heating system if you're not at a campsite where you've got access to electricity. So the main thing to say about gas, as always, is the safety perspective. When you're not using gas appliances, you should always switch the gas supply off at the bottom, and always switch the gas off as well when you're driving and when the vehicle's in motion. On the bottle we have a brass valve at the top. Fully clockwise is the closed position, so when you cannot tighten it up anymore by turning it clockwise, the bottle is closed and there's no gas going into the van. When you want your gas supply open, fully open the brass valve on top of the bottle. The gas is now flowing through the regulator and into the appliances of the van, and we'll be able to see the appliances working when we do the interior demonstration. Again, to close this locker, I'm simply going to close the door over. We'll take the handle again 180 degrees, turn the barrel 180 degrees and push it flush with the door to lock. Okay. Next to the LPG locker we've got another flap here. That contains your 240 volt hookup point. We've got an electric cable supplied with the van, a 25 metre cable, and if you're at a campsite with a powered pitch, you'll hook the van up at this point, and your other end point from your cable will go into the supply point at the main site on the campsite pitch that you have. The van only has 240 volt power in it when you are at a campsite, so They're standard UK 3-pin sockets inside the van, but these will only work when you're hooked up at a campsite. They do not work otherwise when you're off-site. When you're off-site, you've only got 12-volt power from the battery at that point, so your lights and your water pump and your heating and everything will still work, but anything that requires a 3-pin plug, like a toaster or a kettle or a hairdryer, you must be at a campsite for hookup for those to work. Here we've got your toilet cassette, and again, it's not the most pleasant job in the world. It's part of your holiday experience, but it's a necessary one. And your toilet cassette contains the waste from your toilet, and you'll need to empty this fairly regularly at a campsite disposal point or a designated motorhome waste disposal point. To empty the cassette, we're going to lift the blue flap here, slide the cassette out. It's a 15-litre cassette. To empty it, we're going to unscrew the lids here, and then we're going to pour the contents of the waste down into your waste disposal point at the campsite. And then after getting rid of the waste, we're going to put a little bit of water in there, give it a good rinse out and empty again. And then when we want to use the toilet again, we're going to add in some chemicals. The chemicals again are supplied with the van. We use a natural eco-friendly product which can go into septic tanks. It's completely natural, there's no formaldehyde in it. So if you're booking any campsites which ask which type of chemicals you use, make sure you tell them you use a completely natural product that can go into septic tanks. It's quite a simple process here. You only need to use a small amount, 25ml. Take off the cap here with a small dosing chamber on it, and then just gently squeeze the bottle up until you have 25ml of the product in the dosing chamber. We're going to pour this into the lid of the cassette, put that back on, screw it up, and then slide our cassette back in, and that's us ready to use the toilet again. Okay, last thing on the driver's side of the van, we've got a large storage area here at the back which contains all the outdoor gear that we supply you with, so it's a cracking big storage space for you. If you're bringing your own things along, you'll probably have some bags that you might want to put in there. You might have some outdoor gear. It'll take good space there for the likes of an inflatable kayak or bicycle accessories, anything like that. Already you'll see what we've got in there. We've got some camping chairs for you. We've got a fold-up camping table which is included in this bag here. We've got a barbecue set. We've got your 25-metre hookup cable which comes with the van and is used at the campsite, and we have a 10-metre hose as well for topping up your fresh water. So that's a great big storage area, as I say, for putting your gear into there. Again, these doors work. If you bring them back here, they've got a small hook which will stop the wind catching them and blowing around. So just bring it back here, hook it up nicely, and that'll stay nice and firmly open for you. And again, when we're going to close those, we're just going to swing the door over, and it's the same as the other doors I demonstrated. 180-degree turn. .180-degree turn with the barrel, and then push in so that it's flush with the door and the door is locked. Okay, so we're on the passenger side of the Lowlander Deluxe now. Starting from the rear, we've just got another door identical to the one on the driver's side, which gives you access to the storage locker under the rear of the bed. So again, just the same as the other side, that opens up. The only difference with this side is that we cannot lock this door back and that's due to the fact that there's a heating exhaust on this side of the van next to the door. So close that back up, 180-degree turn, 180-degree turn with the barrel and the key, and that's locked. This is the heating and hot water exhaust I was referring to, and when you're running your heating and your hot water using gas, your waste gases, your carbon monoxide is coming out of this exhaust here, so that's why we can't have the door blocked back and locked over that, because those gases have to escape freely. So when your heating and your hot water is running on gas, if you put your ear down to that, you would hear a kind of whooshing sound, and that would indicate that your boiler is running and it's producing waste gas which is exiting out of the exhaust. Moving a little bit further along, we've got the main habitation door into the van. Just a simple handle there to open and same to lock. Okay, and then next to the passenger seat at the front side of the cab here, we have the diesel fill up point and the AdBlu fill up point as well. These are all Euro 6 diesel engines, so they take standard diesel and they also take an AdBlu additive. Generally the vehicle will always be full of diesel when you pick it up, and there should always be sufficient AdBlu for your trip. Occasionally, if the AdBlu light comes on, you've got a warning to tell you you've got about 1,000 miles of AdBlu left. If you're going to be doing more than that, you can pick some up at any petrol station. It's normally about £5 for 5 litres. Keep your receipt and we will reimburse you for that. Okay, don't mix these two up. Obviously the diesel goes in here, which is clearly marked diesel, which is the black cap, and underneath you've got the AdBlu cap, which is the blue one. Okay, so moving to the habitation door on the passenger side. It's locked at the moment. To unlock it, turn the key half a turn anti-clockwise, that opens the door. And to lock, turn the key quarter of a turn clockwise, and that locks it. Okay, so we've just moved into the interior of the Lowlander Deluxe. It's a very nice interior, as you can see. It's nicely finished, nice and spacious. We've got living space with a table here. We've got 2 travelling seats here with 3-point belts. There's also Isofix fittings here if you do have a child seat. The table here can be moved to accommodate the child seat or to accommodate the person sitting here. So there's a little release lever here just at the bottom of the table. If you pull that up, it allows the table to slide over. It also allows it to slide back and forth as well, and in whatever position you want it. So that's a handy feature. Our 2 cab seats here are rotating captain seats. There's a small lever at the base of each seat which we pull out. It allows those seats to rotate round. That creates a nice seating area here which can potentially take up to 5 people. There's a little storage box here just down at the floor level, which is quite useful too. That can just be lifted up. Again, that's a handy place for shoes and things like that. If you want to take your outdoor shoes off, just pop them down there. Maybe you've brought your flip-flops or your slippers with you just to wear in the van. You can put your couple of pairs of outdoor shoes in there. Okay, this is our kitchen area here. We've got a sink here, a couple of covers on the sink which you can lift out when you're using the sink. The purpose of the covers being there is just to give you a little bit of extra resting space when you're doing any kind of food preparation. So you've got a little bit more space to work with. Obviously you take those out when you're using the sink. We've got a gas 3-ring hob here, which you obviously need to have your gas bottle switched on for, and you also need to have your 12-volt panel switched on because there's a little electronic ignition on the gas hob. So when I push that down, you'll hear the tick tick ticking. That's your 12-volt ignition. and that's your gas rings on your hob. Okay, underneath the hob, at this level here, we've got a combination oven and grill, which again runs from the gas supply. So we've got over to the left here with the control knob controls the oven function, and over to the right here controls the grill function. So I'm just going to pull the door down there, push the button in for the oven, turn it to the left. We'll hear the clicking of the 12 volt ignition, and that turns your oven on. Turn that back to the centre point, that switches off, and then if we turn it to the right, we've got the grill function. Okay. In the cupboard here we have gas isolation valves. Now there's no need for the customer to touch this at any point. These are open, these are supplying your appliances. Okay, so don't adjust these because these will not cause your appliances to cease working if you switch off the gas supply to them. This here is important. This is your 240 volt RCD box, so same as you would have in your house. The electrics are fitted with a trip switch and an override switch, so if for instance you plugged in an appliance which was drawing too much power at a campsite, perhaps a hairdryer sometimes will cause that. If you maybe have a hairdryer or a kettle on at the same time, it will cause the sockets to trip, and you can reset them by using the reset switches here. Everything in the normal setting should be in the up position. If any of your circuits trip, you would find them in the down position, and you would simply reset them by putting them back up. Okay, one of the great features of this van is the second double bed, which makes it a real 4-berth van, and it's a great space saving bed because this is it up here in the roof. So looking at it in first looks, you might not even guess there's a bed up here, but there's an electronically controlled bed which I'm just about to demonstrate. There's a control button which raises it up and down, and I'm just going to bring that. There we have the second double bed. It's got some handy safety nets as well. You can see these will go up, and these will secure around the onto these hooks on the cupboards here and up on the roof, and that creates a safety net if you've got any children sleeping in the bed that are prone to rolling about, or any adults for that matter. When you're stowing this back up, main thing to remember is not to leave anything up here, any bulky items, because you want it to go back up flush again with the roof. So before you put the bed back up each day before you're travelling, just make sure the bed's clear. I mean, a duvet and stuff is fine because it will flatten down, but any solid bulky items that you might have had, I don't know, or you may have stored up here through the night, just take those away before you put the bed back up.
Especially the teddy bears.
There we go. We've got some handy overhead shelves in the kitchen area and the living area. Again, these are simple to use, it's just nice and gentle. Rotate the handle down, that releases them. Push it back in and it clicks back in. There's no need to force anything, everything's quite lightweight, so just simply pull it down and then let it click back in. Okay, this is the control panel, the 12 volt control panel for the Lowlander Deluxe. It's just situated here above the fridge in the living area. Anytime you want any power in the van of any description, you're going to have to activate your control panel here. So if you want lights, or if you want your water pump on, or your heating to work, or you want to check your water tank levels, so your battery levels, you need to switch the panel on. So simple on off switch here, the panel will illuminate. So that's the panel activated now. B1 here indicates your vehicle battery, so that'll tell you the voltage in your vehicle battery. So I hit that just now, you can see the reading here is telling me it's 12.1 volts. So anything kind of 12 volts and above is indicating that there's a good charge in the battery. Both your vehicle battery and your leisure battery will recharge as you're driving, and your leisure battery will also charge at the campsite when you're hooked up to mains power. So B1 for your vehicle battery. B2 lets me check my leisure battery level. It's a very healthy 14.6 volts just now, so no problem to run all my lights, water pump, anything I want off that battery. Now if you weren't at a campsite, you've got no problems running off your battery for at least one night, probably 2 nights, even if you don't drive the van. It will run your lights, as I say, your water pump, the fan for your heating, and it'll do everything you need it to do. The only thing that you won't have, as I discussed earlier, if you're not at a campsite, is 240 volt power. So but all your other features will be able to work. In your heating, your hot water, you would be able to run off gas if you were informal camping. So vehicle battery, leisure battery, and then at the top here we've got our water tank indicators. If we press that firstly once, we'll get a blue reading, which is for our fresh water. The tank's currently 66% full. It's a 100 litre tank in this van, so there's 66 litres in there at the moment. We hit that button again, it'll tell us how much is in our grey waste. The grey waste is the water from your sink and your shower. There's no sewage in that or toilet waste, it's simply water that's going down your sink or your shower. That can be emptied down a standard drain if need be. Preferably it would go down a dedicated channel drain at a campsite. Moving to this side of the panel here, we've got our internal ambient temperature, which is 19 degrees at the moment. Up here we've got our lighting circuit, so when we put this on, our entire lighting circuit is activated. The lights all around the van are then individually controlled, so let me find some lights. We've got some here underneath the bathroom cabinet, we've got some here at the door, and under the cabinets in the living space as well. You'll find out where all the lights are. There's spotlights above the bed at the back, there's lights underneath here for the bathroom area, and as I say, you need to have the main lighting circuit switch on here on the panel for that to work. You can ignore this button here, that's for an exterior light, and there's not one on this van, so don't worry about that. The last button that you want to concern yourself with on the control panel, it's got the little tap icon, and that's your water pump. So whenever you want running water, you need to put your pump on here. The tap will illuminate, and that will allow you then just to open your tap and have running water. Okay, the tap, the pump uses a little bit of 12 volt power if you keep it switched on. So what we recommend is, if you're not using running water, if you're going to bed at night, or you're going to be out of the van for a while, just switch the pump off. There's no need for it to be switched on and primed constantly. Next to the control panel here we have the next most important thing, which is your heating and your hot water controller. It's a Truma combi boiler that's included in this van, and it runs either from gas or from electricity, or in exceptional circumstances you can use a combination of gas and electricity to give it a higher output. We've never actually needed to use that, so we recommend you either just use it on gas if you're not at a campsite, or you use it on electricity if you're staying at a campsite. So first of all, just to activate the panel, we hit the button here, we'll get 4 little icons illuminated on the first line here. We're going to move to the third icon, and we're going to select which power source we're going to use. So we hit the button here, we can either select gas, or we can select EL2. So EL2 is what we select if we're at a campsite and we have access to 240 volt power via our hookup cable, or we select gas if we're off-site and we're informal camping. Once we've got the setting that we want, we press the button to select it. Then I'm going to move along to my first icon here, which is the little motorhome icon with the thermometer inside it, and that's for my space heating, my hot air heating. So to select the temperature for my hot air heating, I'm going to press the button while it's on the motorhome symbol. It's currently in the off setting, and then I'm going to turn the dial until I select the temperature that I want. So if I want an internal temperature of 21 degrees, I'll press the button there. What happens up here is that a little gas flame will illuminate on the top line, along with a bottle here to show that I'm running off gas. And then we've got our fan icon here at the end, which shows the output of the fan for distributing the warm air around the vehicle. I can toggle along to that, that's the fourth icon along, and I can have that on eco setting or high setting. And again, I just use the button to select either of those. For hot water, I'm going to come here to the little thermometer icon, which is the thermometer in water. Again, I'm going to press the button. It's in the off setting at the moment, and I'm going to choose either eco, hot or boost. Generally we just use it in the hot setting. That would heat a hot water tank for you in about 20 to 25 minutes. And press the button again there. So now on the top line, my heating is showing us on because I have the flame illuminated here. My hot water is showing us on because I've got my thermometer illuminated. The gas bottle shows that I'm running off gas, and the fan setting there shows that I've got the fan setting on for distributing the warm air. It's the exact same process for running it off 240, except that for the power source you would have selected EL2 instead of gas. Okay, we've got a cracking full height fridge freezer here in the kitchen area. It's a 12 volt compressor fridge, runs purely off 12 volt power, so there's no need to toggle between gas settings or mains power or 12 volt. It runs off 12 volt constantly. There's a solar panel on the roof of this van which helps keep the battery charged. The fridge is extremely efficient. It's got an automatic sensor on it when you're hooked up. The 12 volt power is getting boosted by the 240 mains hookup point that you're at. There's really nothing to it. You just switch it on here using the power button. The temperature selector's at the top. Depending on the number of dots, blue dots that are illuminated, determines how high you've got the fridge set. So just hold that button down for a few seconds to change the settings, and that's you. Just leave that running. Leave that running when you're driving, leave it running when you're out of the van. The fridge will stay nice and cold all the time. Keep your food and your beverages nice and cold. Right, it's great to get a bit of privacy when you're using your toilet. So here we've got a sliding door which obviously sections off the bedroom area from the toilet area, and we've got the same for the kitchen area to the toilet area. So here's your toilet bowl here. I talked earlier about how you remove the cassette and stuff from the outside, so I'm just going to tell you how you use the interior. Always make sure you've got your water pump switched on at your control panel, because you need that for your flushing water. And then first rule, before any waste goes down this toilet, there's a grey lever here at the base of the toilet. You need to open that up. Basically that opens up the trap on the top of your cassette, and it allows your waste to go straight into the cassette and not sit in the bowl. So that's really important. Make sure you always open up that trap before you use the toilet. Your waste goes down the toilet as it would in any other toilet, and then here you've got your water flush. Okay, and then once you've finished there, important again to stop any smells or anything coming back up into the van, always close that cassette trap back over here, just using the grey lever at the bottom. You can put standard toilet roll down here, that's no problem. We just advise you try and empty the cassette as regularly as you can, stop it getting overloaded, and try and use as little kind of heavy toilet roll or anything like that. Any other kind of sanitary items should be kind of bagged up and binned. So toilet roll only really down these. Okay, in the washroom area as well as your toilet, you've got a separate shower cubicle here, which is great. Not too much to say about it. Again, obviously you would have heated your water up using either electricity or gas. You would have your water pump on so that your water can flow through. The main element here to talk about is this base here. This is here to protect the shower tray when you're just moving in and around the van, but obviously you need to take that out when you're having a shower to let your water drain away. There's a little drain point there. If you're on any kind of slope, it's always better to have the front of the van slightly raised in relation to the back of the van, because your waste tank's at the rear, so that lets the water run away a little bit easier. The main thing, take this away when you're using the shower and always put it back when you're finished to stop any damage to the shower tray occurring just when you're walking through between these areas here. Clearly we need to use these as well to stop water moving moving all around the van. So you've got a shower cubicle door here, and this other side here comes over to meet it, and that makes up your shower cubicle there. So those stow up nicely. Again, this should be part of your checks before you drive off, but make sure you've secured these all up again, because once you start driving away and things start moving around, things start rattling and falling off shelves if you haven't secured them. So just like you would do, check your windows and your roof lights. Always make sure you've stowed these up as well using the little fasteners supplied. And put your shower base back in place. Okay, I'm just going to talk about the windows on the Lowlander Deluxe for a minute. They all have a similar system on them in terms of how they open and how the blinds work. So I'll just demonstrate that quickly. Everything's quite lightweight, so to open up you have these black catches. I'll try and move that just now, it's not going to move, so don't force it. Push the little button in, that allows the catches to release from their locks, and then your window just pushes out on its telescopic arms as far as you want it and stays there. Okay, and when you want to bring it in, you're just going to pull the window in again nice and gently, lock it in, those little circles will pop back out. For the blinds, we've got a nighttime blackout blind, so push these two stoppers in here, pull the blind up nice and gently, and lock it in at the top. Okay, when you want to bring it back down, it's the same process. Bring that down, you'll see that's now brought the fly screen down with it. If you don't want the fly screen down, just pinch that together there and that'll release that and let it slide back up. On the back passenger side window, there's a safety feature here related to your water heater. I talked about the water heating, gas, water heating and water boiler exhaust being located on the outside of the van, on the passenger side at the rear. That's where your carbon monoxide comes out, at that exhaust point. There's a safety feature on this window, a switch. It's got the name trimmer on it, and what it means is that your heating and your hot water will not work off gas if this window is open. The reason being that carbon monoxide would be coming out down on the outside of the van and could potentially come back inside the van here. So this micro switch here must be engaged with the window in order for the heating and hot water to work on gas. The window must be flush to close that micro switch. Okay, this is our kitchen pack, how we supply your kitchenware with each van. You'll get a box, all your crockery have been washed and sanitised, and you'll have a fresh box And inside, I won't go through everything in detail, but there's everything you need in there. Pots and pans, kettles, chopping boards, chopping knives, cutlery, cleaning packs, mugs, wine glasses, coffee pot, can openers, bottle openers. Everything you need should be in there. If you've got any really specific cooking requirements, then I suggest you bring your whatever additional tools you need yourself, but certainly for everything you would need to do in a camper van, we think we've covered everything with our crockery and cutlery box. Okay, all our vans are fitted with 4-cycle racks. So they're either a Fiamma model or a Thule model, but generally they all work in the same way. They've got 4 rails here which takes 1 bike each. When they're not in use, they're stowed up kind of flat against the back of the van. When you want to use them, it's simply a case of pulling the rail down. You can see you've got your 4 different rails here, so the longest pole here hooks onto the 4th rail. Your bike sits in here, your wheels go in the rail. You have these adjustable fixings which move back and forth depending on the spacing of your wheels. Those will go through the rims of your wheels and secure, and this will come down onto the frame of the bike, the saddle post or the centre post. Now always remember, when you've got a bike rack on, you do have a camera on the vans, but you're carrying about an extra 3.5 to 4 feet on length, so you need to remember that when you're manoeuvring the van, when you're reversing, when you're cornering and things like that. So that brings me on, with talking about the length of the van, that brings me on to the overhang. 7-metre vans all have a significant overhang at the back, okay? From the back wheel to the end of the van, you have around about 6 to 7 feet there, okay? You really need to be aware of that when you're driving, particularly when you're cornering, okay? So give yourself more of a turning circle when you're making any sharp turns, okay? Bring your front end out a little bit to allow your back end to get round the corner, okay? That's really, really important, okay, to avoid damage at these rear overhangs. Also, when you're reversing the van, there are cameras on all the vans for reversing, which are extremely helpful, but the cameras don't pick all objects up, so always have someone out directing you when you're reversing the van. It's a 7.3 metre motorhome, okay? It's easy to make a mistake, to damage the bumper, the side skirts, and these are expensive repairs which we'd rather avoid having to charge you for, so always have somebody out guiding you, even when you're using the reversing camera. Further point on safe driving is wing mirrors, okay? This is our most common bit of damage. That's a bust up driver's side wing mirror, okay? We go through lots of these every season. They are expensive to replace, and they can be a bit of a shock when you bang one up on the road if you've got an oncoming vehicle coming towards you. Be aware of your road positioning. It's a wide vehicle, okay? Lots of Scottish roads are quite narrow. We've got a lot of single track roads. In particular, there's some roads that we don't even advise you would take these motorhomes on, but we will advise you on those roads separately. We'll send you an information leaflet on that, okay? But wing mirrors, watch your position on the road, and if you're in any doubt at all, tuck your driver's side wing mirror in to avoid a collision with any oncoming vehicle. Okay, so I talked about the mirrors. As I say, if you're on any roads where you feel at all that it's quite narrow and you've got you're quite close to oncoming traffic, the wisest thing to do is just pull that driver's side wing mirror in. It's very easily done. It's just a manual job. Pull it in. That will help you avoid any costly collisions and replacement of wing mirrors like this one here. So. Lastly, I'm just going to talk about the safety checks you should always do. You must always do these before you drive off, regardless of where you've been parked, whether you're in a campsite or you're in formal camping. You need to do the following checks. So make sure you've disconnected your electricity cable if you're at a campsite and you're hooked up. Make sure you've switched off your bottle at the gas bottle using the brass valve at the top. Check all your exterior doors are secured and locked using the technique I showed you. And inside, make sure all your windows are securely latched down, and your roof lights. Make sure your cupboards are all closed and any loose items are stowed away so that nothing slides around or falls out of cupboards as you're driving. Okay, I hope this video has been really helpful for you. I hope you have a great trip to Open Road Scotland, and we hope to see you here soon in Paisley. Thanks for watching.